Greetings and gracious good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you are. And thank you for joining us at Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. The reason we call it that is that here I am sitting in Southern California, and it is indeed still Saturday morning until approximately the time that we finish this broadcast. So we do indeed start in the morning. But it's only my morning, and maybe a few other people actually. One of my green room constituents. By the way, my name is Roland, but you probably already knew that. And you probably already know this too, that I am joined in the green room by Karen V. Chin. Say hi, Karen.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully you have joined us in our new event. I am out here. I'm a marketing consultant, social media engager out here in San Francisco. And we are, as you know, I guess the hubbub of Super Bowl at this moment, which is tomorrow. We're excited.
All right. And so also we have in the green room with us Molly Youngblood Geiger. Would you please say hi?
Hi everyone, my name is Molly Youngblood Geiger. I am located in Jacksonville, Florida. The name of my agency is Design Right for You, and I participate with Google on several different platforms. I'm an ambassador in the Google Partners community. I'm also a Google Small Business Community Advisor and Rising Star in the Hangouts Help Forum.
Cool beans. Okay. So of course we do that every week, and mainly is for people who have come in the first time or they're new to the Smarties format and the show, so that you have a little idea of what we do. And of course, I'm an R&D hotline marketing person. I do websites. I'm a WordPress specialist. I focus on video, social media, and websites. Of course, don't we all? So anyway, what I call this is the marketing tripod, or the internet marketing tripod. You have 3 legs to stand on, and your table will balance and stand, and you can build on that table. So one of the things that we do is we're always talking about the things that will help newcomers to the internet marketing scene be successful, the type of things that you need to be successful. And of course, we do stress video heavily, very heavily. However, not everybody is fluent with video, not everybody knows how to edit, not everybody is confident and competent or even comfortable doing a thing like a Hangout or Blab or so forth. So recording yourself on video may not be an option for you. Or maybe you're going to be building up your courage and taking a stab at it and trying it out, and maybe eventually do video. And when you do, video will probably be your greatest, strongest component regarding your internet marketing. In the meantime, we don't want to forget images. So today is all about images, and we're going to talk about those in general. But the first thing that we're going to branch off in and have some fun with is a thing called emoji. So I just want to do it because it's fun, and it kind of leads to the greater topic today of what the images are supposed to do. Images basically are a more elaborate, huge way of saying, getting an emoji effect, right? So we're going to talk about exactly what emoji is. Now, do you ladies know what the word breakdown of emoji, where it comes from, or what it means, or so forth? Because I do, but maybe I want to see what you guys say.
I actually do. I think it's, well, of course, it's emotion and it's icons, and it comes from a word combining from Japan.
Okay, that's pretty accurate. The further breakdown is that E, just the letter by itself, E in Japanese basically means picture. So the word E means picture, and moji means character. So picture, character is the breakdown, and of course they put those together to form the word emoji. And then after the fact, people all get emotional about it, and so they think that that's what the word means, and that the Japanese copied the American word and the English word emotion and made their own Japanese word, when indeed it was the other way around. So it was basically the emoji concept, and inevitably mimicking the ASCII term for describing the building of characters in text format, so we could read it in text messages, on telephones and stuff like that. And they make these little icons that sideways look more like a face or look more like something, and people got really creative on how to make different things look like people, expressions, and things, and so forth. So they send
So,
special messages like that.
so Roland, how old is an emoji?
Oh,
How long
that's
has
a
it been
really good
around?
question. I would only think it's a couple of decades, maybe, and maybe more like 1 decade.
Yeah, because I think it's about maybe 10 or 11 years old. It's
Yeah,
not that long because because emojis came from usage of phones, right? Using
yeah,
those
and
cell phones
actually it was
originally.
not even that. It's probably text messaging,
Mm,
and
okay.
the text messaging, of course, email messaging is only a couple decades old, so that's as early as it could be. But where they made the word emoji and came up with the overall icon of the emotional icons or the emoticons and all that stuff. That's only been mostly this last decade. That I haven't been able to find an exact date. But anyway, the idea of these things is that you have smiley faces, and I wanted to share it with people. If you're always wondering how in the heck people do these things, um, yeah, I had a resource for people that I could show you, and I'm actually going to share my screen and show people because I don't do much of it myself. I use the smiley face. Occasionally, I use a frowning face. Occasionally, I use a yay face, and then I also use a thumbs up, and that's about it. That's about all the emoticons that I use.
Well, I think it's a reflection of your age too, of when you start using
Hey,
emojis.
wait a minute. Watch what you say there. No, anyway,
because because if you're a millennial or a tween, you know every single thing about with these emojis. And I mean, if you actually follow what, especially on Facebook or Instagram, the kids are pretty much talking through emojis now, and they're not even using actual words. They're just expressing themselves just through emojis.
that is correct. And so now I'll show this screen here where people can go to iemoji.com. That's iemoji.com. And you can find this easily by searching Google for emoji. That's EMOJI, and it'll probably take you here too. But you can see there are just literally hundreds and thousands of different things about emoji, and so you can go look this up and get most of the common ones right on the top of this page here. So you can see all the different faces and animal faces and family faces, and the family faces is funny because they have everything from here's a family of 2 men and 1 boy. Here's a family of 2 men and 2 boys. Here's a family of 2 men and 2 girls. Here's a normal family with there's 2 women and 2 girls, and they've got everything. God, they've got more of the odd family arrangements than the traditional family arrangements. But you've got every single thing you can think of. You got policemen, and here's one with a construction worker, and here's a man with a turban. You can almost have a full conversation using these emoticons. So this is indicative of where this world is coming to, where we express via via um, characters, and we don't even have to have our face on a video. But we express what we're thinking and what we're doing and what we're trying to express with these all these images. And I think I froze.
Well, I think also too, Roland, with emojis, you can. I know every year they come up with, I think a dozen or so every year they add on to it. So if you're looking
Oh
for more
yeah.
emojis, there's always more coming. And if you also notice back on the screen that you have, it's also reflective on your skin tone. So you can have emojis reflecting of yourself by whatever skin tone you are, male, female. You can change the colors too. So if you've never done that, Roland, you might want to check that out.
Well, I don't know that it's in my near future, but perhaps I will.
Well, I
Anyway,
mean, to get a true feeling and expression of yourself, if you want to kind of talk about yourself or even express to others what they are, you can actually just change their skin tones.
yeah, absolutely. And so there's a lot of ways that this is going. I'm mainly bringing this to mind right now to show that imagery is very important today. It reaches even onto our cell phones. So when we expand out for that, for our internet marketing outreach, we're not going to use emojis in our website necessarily. Well, we might, but I know I've never thought of it. However, go
Yeah,
ahead,
I mean,
Karen.
I was going to say also too is I know that for Instagram you can search by emoji too. So, I mean,
Right.
there's another thing too that if you don't necessarily want to spell out, for example, Happy Birthday or Merry Christmas, you could actually look it up through emojis through Instagram.
And I'm sure we've got animated GIF emojis, so we could probably go there too. But anyway, it brings to mind, and I think there's something wrong with my camera. Am I showing to you guys, or is it just me?
You're frozen.
Okay, so there's something wrong with my camera, and not that I really care either way, but I would rather have people see me if they have the option. Let's see, try that again, and I'm just gonna make a quick adjustment of my settings here. Yeah, it's very strange. Um, Hangouts is playing with me today and has decided not to recognize my camera.
Hey,
So,
Roland, real quickly, I would go to your settings, and I know this sounds like silly because you probably already set your camera, but maybe try to reset your camera again and save it and see if maybe that helps.
yeah, I'm attempting to do that, but it's not even giving me the option to select it. It sees my microphone, it sees my speakers, but it does not see my camera. And I can't explain why.
Yeah, I mean, you're completely now, I think you're trying to show yourself and it's now a black screen. So you may just want to use your avatar for the rest of the show.
Let's do that, but in the meantime, why don't you guys talk about emojis for another 60 seconds while I drop out and come back in, and then I'll see what's happening. Go ahead.
Okay.
You guys carry it for a minute, okay? I'll be right back.
Sure, no problem. So I'll just quickly add to emojis that the Google Hangouts is all the time coming out with brand new emojis. In fact, earlier this week there was an announcement in the Hangouts help forum where brand new emojis were available for Hangouts. So if you're using Hangouts, just always be on the lookout. They're always coming up with new ones. And I think emojis are a reflection of our emotions, what we're feeling at the time, and when we're communicating with people. Oh, there's Roland. He's back. All right. But yeah, I mean, I use emojis all the time on Hangouts, even on text messages. So yeah, I think it's a neat way to communicate with people how you're feeling. There's a visual aspect of it, and that's why we're talking about pictures and images and emojis today, because we want to relate to our audience and we want to be able to use pictures and emojis to kind of just relate to the customer, because it's kind of going back into we've talked about before with engagement marketing. We want to engage with that customer or that lead, and so a way we can do that is by letting them know, hey, we appreciate you contacting us, and with a little smiley face, or maybe using images within our marketing to kind of draw those people in.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was thinking
Go
too
ahead.
that with emojis in general, it's like you're using them to express yourself and also to, at least for me, not type as much on your phone. So I mean, if you can get your message across, because again, an image is 1,000 words, right? It's easier to use sometimes emojis than it is to actually write, especially when you're on a phone.
I totally agree with that, and that goes back to what we talked about before about mobile marketing. We want to make it really easy for people to understand what we're trying to communicate to them, and if we can take a picture, or an image, or an emoji, and use that instead of writing 5 paragraphs of text, well, then it makes sense to me that that's why you would want to use images and pictures and emojis when you're communicating with your customers, because you want them to be able to get that instant message. You don't want them to have to go through all the effort of reading a bunch of content when you can sum it up with a picture.
That's really good stuff. And we're going to move on to pictures now in more elaborate sense. But I wanted to acknowledge that a lot of people have come over from the other location, and I appreciate it. Barbara Quick is there. Hello, lady. She's been going through a lot lately, and I wanted to say hi to her sometime very soon. And We Wake is out there. Thank you for coming. Carlos Savio is out there. Thank you very much, sir. He's one of our co-hosts on What is the Positive, and he's with us today. Gary Wayland made it over from the other side. Looks like Bill Graham is here. David
Yay!
McRae made it, and
Yay!
Wow, more people than I thought. And I know that there's, oh, Susan Joyce Schleif is here. Hello. Rain Dowell is in the audience. Wow,
Yay!
we haven't seen her for a long time. We're going to welcome her today. And so that's most of the people. And then, of course, there might be some people I missed here as they're coming in. But thank you very much for showing up. I appreciate you coming over. And on this new event page, apparently, there are 18 people. Either that or I'm on the wrong page. Let's see, I'm on the wrong page. Let's see. So that's probably why I was announcing all those people that aren't actually in the audience right now. That's funny. Anyway, let's see. I'll do the redirect here. Hang on. Okay, let's get the real people are here. Bill is here. Carmen Mandich is here. Thank you very much for showing up. So you haven't missed really much of anything. Susan Joyce Schleif is here. WeWake is here. And Barbara Quick is indeed here. So thank you very much for coming over. I appreciate you people making the sidestep with us. Carlos Savio is indeed here. Thank you very much. Okay, and so now I feel better. Richard Clarkson, haven't seen you for a little bit, and thank you for showing up. And I think that covers most of the people who are with us in the new Hangout. Thank you for coming over. So anyway, continuing on, the reason that we got started on this in the first place was that we totally missed being able to show you the image opportunity that the New York Public Library is offering to people in their public library. And so we're going to let Karen deal with this in one moment and tell you exactly what that library is offering. And I'm going to join in briefly. By the way, we're saying hi to Tammy Durden. Thank you for making the sidestep and joining us at the new Hangout. But anyway, the New York Public Library made something like 600,000 images available. And we are going to let Karen tell you more about it and maybe take us for a little tour and familiarize us with what's available at the New York Public Library. Go ahead, Karen.
Okay, great. I'm going to show you. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully you'll see it. So when you do see my screen, just someone shout out that you can actually see my screen, because you just never know with Hangouts these days. Okay, entire screen. Here we go. Can you see my screen? Can you see it?
Yes, I had my microphone turned off.
Okay. So, always scares me about that. It's like silence and you don't know if anyone's seeing your screen.
Well,
So
I was realizing I was giving you the thumbs up, but when you're sharing your screen, you can't see my thumb.
Okay, so I found this actually in the beginning of last month, and I thought this was like really great resource for folks who don't have images available, in the sense that the New York Public Library, for those who are aware, it's one of the bigger libraries in the country. Here in the States, and they actually were able to scan, as Roland mentioned, like over 600,000 images from just any period of time. And what they're also offering that's available, which is so awesome, is that about 200,000 of these images, these digitized images, are now able to be used for the public. So they're free of charge. They're for the public, and you can do just about anything to them. You don't have to even, attribute or acknowledge, because they're basically free. And so when I click on the link here, it's going to take you to the collections, and I'm not going to go into each one of them, but you can see here that all these images have been digitized, and the number up here that says 673, it's actually every day you go on, it kind of increases a little bit. So there's probably a lot of volunteers out there at the library who are just scanning away all these images from no matter what period of time, all over the world. So it's not based just solely on the United States, but just anywhere, whether you're into 8th century Grecian art, I don't know what's out there, but you can find anything just about. And the cool thing that I think that I wanted to emphasize on this is that if you are a blogger or if you are a writer or you're an educator, again, here's access to all these images that could help you with your work. And the library is also wanting to know if you are falling in those categories, how you're using these images, and to make sure that you're letting them know, not because they want to like scrutinize over your work, but they just want to know where all these digital images are being used. And I believe also at the end of this too is that they also have some grant money for those who are using these images, and if they find your project worthy, they'll actually help and support you financially. So that's always a great resource that I think, especially for educators and nonprofits. You're always looking for help. For help. Here is a great opportunity where you can find your images and maybe get some help along the way. So I
Very
think,
good.
Roland, if you had actually some fun examples to show.
Yes, I do. And while I'm getting into that, maybe Karen, you can grab the primary link to lead people to this collection because they're interested in the audience and would
Okay.
like to know. So
Okay.
that'll be handy. And if you would like, if you want to go ahead and stop sharing your screen, I will go
Okay.
ahead and share my screen and give an idea of 6 images that I found in the library itself. So here's one. And I just did a basic search. I didn't spend a lot of time on the website, but I went ahead and looked around and I just found things that interest me, and it was fun. I had a half an hour of just enjoyment, trouncing around the website. And as a matter of fact, I found a couple thousand images of the San Francisco earthquake, Karen. So up
Hmm.
where you live, it was San Francisco quake. I don't know, maybe it was a century ago or so. And it showed the utter destruction of San Francisco. So let me get back to Greta Garbo here. Greta Garbo is the actress. I forgot to even check the dates, but in the early, I think, 30s, 40s.
No, she was 20s and 30s.
Is it that far ago? Were we having
Yeah.
movies black and white by then?
Yeah,
Okay.
she was a silent movie star that then converted
I see.
over to talkies, and she was very popular in the early part of the 30s.
She was. She was
Hmm.
the one that came up with that line, I want to be alone. And then when people mimic her, they always lower their voice down and they say, I want to be alone. They make it sound like that. But actually, her voice wasn't near that low. And when she said it in the movie, it was more like, I want to be alone. I want to be alone. And it was very wimpy and girlish. So people have got the totally wrong idea of what that line represents. She was pretty sleeky looking, but she was a little girl in that movie. So anyway, moving on, another image I found was one of puppies and dogs together, which basically shows that puppies and dogs and images of puppies and dogs have been around as long as puppies and dogs could be photographed. And it's not such a big hot thing originally on the internet as it is today in social media, but it's been going on a long time. So there's that. Oh, this is one of the it's called a Curtiss biplane. It is not the Wright brothers testing out the first airplane ever, but this is called a Curtiss biplane, and we have a lot of aviation photos that were available in the public library archives in New York. So there's that. Oh, guess who this is? His name is Jackie Coogan, and he was responsible because of this movie and the phrase "they're Peck's bad boy" for coining a phrase that if you were called Peck's bad boy, then you were a naughty little kid, and that's what they call you. They say you've been bad. You're emulating Peck's bad boy, or they would nickname you Peck's bad boy for the day or something, and that's where this came from. But I wonder in the audience if people look at this picture, Jackie Coogan, who was a childhood star in the days of Charlie Chaplin and starred in a couple movies with him. So he was in silent movies and was one of the most famous childhood actors that was ever backed and promoted on the movie
Not the internet.
no, in the movie industry. And what did he star in that made him famous? Does anybody know? And we can say people might be typing right now, and it'll be there in a second. We'll see who they come up with. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. this guy, although he was in dozens of movies I think through 1984 or so, but he was the one who made famous the character of Uncle Fester in the Addams Family series. Can you believe that? I was shocked when I learned that, but anyway, that's something I've known for a while. And when I saw that picture, I said, "Oh, I gotta bring that up and show people." So this is from the movie Peck's Bad Boy, Jackie Coogan. Moving on, the reason I captured this one is that people always think of muskets and flintlocks and matchlock rifles, and everybody thinks of Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, the Alamo, and so forth, and the days in the American West. But the fact of the matter is, muskets were worldwide, and in Japan, indeed, people were teaching other people how to use muskets, as this lame-looking guy in the little skirt is doing somewhere in Japan, and then someone's actually writing an article about it and teaching people how to use this. This one in particular, I think, is a matchlock rifle, a single-shot matchlock rifle. That's one of those cases where they derive the term "keep your powder dry." This is what they were talking about.
Roland, do you know how old this picture is, or this
No,
I
no, I
guess?
do not. I didn't see anything notated in the archives, but this has got to be, I don't know. Well, judging from the gun itself, anything from 16th to 17th century.
Mm.
I
So
could be way off there.
so it's fascinating that if you are a history buff, war buff, gun buff, you could basically find pretty much a lot of different images at the library.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. I wasn't even looking under uh, flintlocks or matchlocks when I found this, so who knows what the connection was, but it was interesting running into it.
Yeah, because I think also in the comment thread, I think uh, Bill Graham had a comment on searching. Can they be specifically searched, or do you have to scan the library? So Bill, basically it's keywords, I believe, and you could just start searching that way if you're interested in any particular topic, or if you're trying to find something in terms of images. I think that's the best way to search.
Yeah, I think that there are probably ways to really improve your search there. I didn't spend enough time to learn much about it myself. I just had fun for half an hour and came up with these. And but no doubt there are probably ways to learn how to search better, and you can get better at that. But anyway, I pulled up this last image because this was a sampling of, I believe, probably 1960s or so, and I could be wrong. No,
It's
I'm wrong.
it's
It's a
yeah,
1937.
1937.
And this was the type of primary advertising that was going on back then by how things have changed. So thank you for taking a look at the various samples that I have here. I hope you had some fun with that. And do we have any more information about the library that we want to convey before we move on?
I was going to say, actually, in that last image, Roland, that was probably the original banner ads, huh? When you think about it.
Well, I would say so. I mean, those are banners or billboards.
Billboards, I know, but when you think about it, it's like the original, billboard was actually, it's now what we call the banner ad, and that you
Yep.
can actually,
Yeah,
uh,
you're
I mean, I
really
mean,
good
I
point.
mean, I mean, you think about it too. It's like when you see ads now online, they're kind of like that too, right? They're all kind of lumped together. So it's kind of interesting to
Yeah,
see that, literally what I'm bad at math here, but almost 80 years ago. I mean, you look at this, it's pretty much kind of what advertising is like today, but it's online versus out there on the street, which is kind
completely.
of
Yeah,
which is kind of fun, right?
I was
I
going to
think so.
say, I actually describe to people like whenever they're getting a website that your website is like having a billboard, but it's on the internet. So, and I think it's interesting that you point out that, this type of marketing that was going on decades ago, well, it's still going on. It's just we're doing it online and using technology to do it. So I just wanted to interject that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, with advertising and with the puppies and cats, right? I mean, from the beginning of newspapers, I would imagine anything with print, they've been using these types of kind of fun images to capture someone's attention, to get that awe factor. You think of the Gerber baby, you think of all these advertisements way in the past, that gets people's attention is because, that's what marketers do. They want to draw your attention to look at that ad to then hopefully get that top of mind, which would then eventually get you to the store, which would then eventually hopefully get you to buy that product, which is now kind of all done on online now.
Well, what used to be you looking out your window as you drove down the freeway or the street is now you surfing the internet. So it's what you see as you're gliding in your vehicle in front of your computer monitor. So
Or
we've
your phone,
transformed,
or your phone. When you think about it, you're gliding
or
the street.
traveling or going down the street and watching your phone at the same time. And so yes, yes, and yes. So anyway, that was kind of a fun jaunt. I did this mostly for the fun of it all, but the idea is there are images to be found on the internet. So we're going to take you to a few places where you can find more of them. But before we move on to these other opportunities, I wanted to ask you and get Karen and Molly in the green room. What do you think about images in websites nowadays? Because people are going to use them for their blog posts, for the website, and the images and the inserts. What's the optimum size to have for your website?
I'm going to interject real quick. I'm a graphic
Yeah.
designer, and one mistake I see business owners making is they take a really small picture and they think, oh, I can put this on my website and on my print art, and they blow it up, and it just takes the quality of that picture and pixelates it. And what that means to a graphic designer is it blows it up, and it's real fuzzy, and it's not crisp anymore. And so typically, my advice for business owners is always go with the larger image, because you can always take that image and shrink it down to fit your website, your business cards,
Mm-hmm.
any print collateral you're going to do. But, for me, you don't want it to have, if it's going to be on a website, you don't want it to be too big, because we have bandwidth and page speed, and we don't want that picture to weigh down the website populating. So we do want to use possibly a ping or a GIF image, because those are smaller file types. You can use JPEGs, but just make sure that your file size is not too big. And one other thing I would actually quickly add is, in addition to making sure you're using a large image and crunching it down, is to make sure and use a good quality image. If you have an image you're not quite sure about, then don't use it. Just make sure and use a good quality image, because when the customer looks at a picture on your print collateral, your business card, your website, whatever, that's your first impression to them. And if they see a really pixelated, fuzzy, not very optimized image, they're going to get off on the wrong foot right off the bat.
So one of the things is when I'm building a web page, I focus usually on an image that's going to be anywhere from 600 to 800 pixels wide, and I try to limit it to that. Smaller is okay, larger is okay, or if they click and want to enlarge the image, I make it between 600 and 800 pixels, depending on the type and the application. So do you have any other comments regarding that? Because that I found that to be about best.
Yeah, I would say that is about the range I use. It depends on what you're designing for. Now, if it's a header, your header might be 1,200 pixels wide. So in that
Right.
instance, you're going to want to make sure that your background is 1,200 pixels wide, and then take whatever logo or whatever you're going to embed on top of that. And this is something else a lot of people, and I just quickly want to share, being a graphic designer, a lot of those images that you're looking at are layers, meaning it's not actually just one picture. It's different layers on top of one another. And that's what we do as graphic designers in our world. Is that's how we're able to make these custom images. Is we use software. I use Photoshop. There's other softwares out there like Canva. I know Karen had mentioned that, and I believe there's a couple other software providers out there.
Mm-hmm.
But we take these layers and we make these custom images. So just be aware of that. That a picture that you're looking at may not actually just be one layer. It may be 10 or 15 layers of different images embedded on top of one another.
So I think that Karen had some information regarding one of the
Yeah,
most popular ones.
I think, Molly, just to make it clear for people, when you're talking about layering with your photos, you're talking probably the image and then the text on top of the image. I think that's what you're trying to say, right? Just to make sure that people understand what you mean by all these layers.
Yeah, so it could be different aspects of the picture. Like you could have a background, and then you could have the main focal point, and then you might decide to add some add-ons to the picture, and then of course text would be considered a layer. So yeah, that's what I'm referring to is, a picture that you're looking at may actually be 10 layers deep versus you thinking, oh, I'm just looking at one picture and this is all on one layer. Now, a graphic designer, what they will do typically before they release an image is they will collapse it all. So it is technically, one layer. But I just want to make people aware that, some of the images that you're looking at online, especially some of the, the really nicer ones, more than likely has had a graphic designer go in and customize that image.
Well, not just layers,
Exactly.
but they're also probably using a lot of filters too, right, to make that
Yeah.
image really pop.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you want a nice, bright, shiny, catch your attention image. If you're using an image that's kind of dark, not because it's nighttime, but just kind of dark or murky or fuzzy, or as you mentioned, pixelated, you're just going to lose that person's attention because you're just not interested, and it's also a reflection on your business, and you just don't want to use that type of image. Roland, as you're mentioning, I could show you the folks, and I'm not going to go into it in much detail, but I can just show you Canva and just take you there. And if you see it, just let me know.
Yes.
Okay, so for folks out there, I think for many of you, you're probably familiar with Canva, but Canva is actually a really great tool. I personally use it. I'm not a Photoshop jockey at all. All of my images that I use for all of my work is using Canva, and the cool thing about Canva is that a lot of it's all template based. So as you can see on my screen, they've got social media templates. They've got stuff for documents now. So taking it from the online to the offline world. If you're a blogger, you do ebooks. Again, here's all the template sizes that's already pre-made for you, and all you have to do is pop in your image. I'm making it very simplistic, but there's a lot more work that you would have to do. But I mean, in the sense that at least you have the template size that you would need. Marketing materials, again, as Molly was mentioning, headers for all your different social channels. And if you're doing, again, offline stuff, invitations, postcards. I like the fact they have wedding invitations. Not that I'm getting married myself personally, because I am already married, but the fact is that if you feel like you wanted to do wedding invitation, they got it covered for you. And also, they also have templates for ads. So if you are into Facebook ads, all the other ads, I'm assuming here, they're probably more for Google. You have that. And then lastly, if you want to do your own custom dimensions, you can actually create your own image by putting in pixels or inches or centimeters of what the size of your image should be. So kind of like in a nutshell, there's a free version, and now there's an upgrade version for business, and there's a little bit more that you would get for the upgrade, and so that's more about saving and using already existing templates and making your life a lot easier. If you're a kind of a heavy user of Canva, you should definitely upgrade.
So the main point of this whole thing is that although Canva is not the only opportunity for the users out there, it is a good starting point, and you're able
Mm-hmm.
to enhance the photos where it's going to matter. And you
Mm-hmm.
want to make it a little bit clearer. You might want to adjust the color. You might want to, um, crop the photo to capture just what you want, and you can do all those things in Canva. So if you
Mm-hmm.
want to learn how to manipulate your photos with a little bit more finesse and a little bit more pointed for what you want to use it for, I would say Canva is a good opportunity.
And
Now,
it also gives you too, as Molly was mentioning, the layer factor too. So if you have your image, and if you wanted to put text on top of the image, and if you had like two types of text and colors and all kinds of things, you can just keep layering it along the way. And as Molly mentioned, when you do save, it's just one file.
exactly. So, okay, we're going to be moving on now to not just how to manipulate photos, because that really wasn't the primary topic today. We want to now go on to where can you get these photos, and that was the whole purpose of bringing up the New York Public Library is because they've made these things available. But
Mhm.
that's by far not the only opportunity that searchers for images have to utilize. So what we're going to do now is talk about other resources. And one of my favorites, and one thing that I would like to introduce people to, is called Wikimedia, and that's Wikimedia, and I'll um, post that link in the comment stream here so that you can see basically what that is. But it's based along the same lines as Wikipedia, but it's all about imagery. And so I'm going to show you a share screen right now where you could go to find this information. And Wikimedia is all about various aspects of finding images and talking about wikis or wiki stuff. So they even have an icon here for the Wikipedia link, and there's Wiki News, Wiki University, or Wikiversity, and so forth. Wiki books, wiki species, you can study all these things. But if you go to Wiki Commons, that's the website that we're basically wanting to bring you to. Because from here, you can literally search and look through 20, 30 million images. And they're all free, usable any way you want. When you're searching on the internet, there's some stuff that you should know regarding this. And when you're looking at a website and you're wondering whether something is usable in your website or not, you look for some certain terms. The one main term to look for is called Common, Creative Commons public domain. You might also find some of these other terms. I'm going to post them all in the comment stream so you'll have them. But just to discuss them briefly, they all basically mean the same thing. But the start of it all is it's got to be in the category of Creative Commons, which basically means that you can use it, you can do whatever you want with it, and you don't have to give credit or attribute it to anybody. But there are some other terms that you'll read that are similar, so you ought to make sure that you're looking at the right thing. They could be called totally free, they could be called free for your personal or commercial use, which means basically Creative Commons public domain is assumed. And then you've got other attributes. You get free with attribution required, and as long as credit is required or is provided. In other words, if you give a list in your web page and say, I got this image from so-and-so, or courtesy of, something like that. And then you've got other places that say they're free and premium images, which means they're basically giving away free images so that you'll find one that you love that actually costs something, and then you'll probably end up giving them some money. But the last thing that you should watch for is for every website that has, especially if there's a monetary exchange on the website, you should use the reader's user policy or look up the terms of use of the website, and that should give you more information regarding the use of the images. But the idea with the Wikimedia Commons is that there are a lot of things available, and they'll teach you how to use the site, which is reasonably confusing. But when you get down to it, you can actually search for images. Let me see if I can actually show you how to do this briefly. What you would do is you would go up to the search bar, which is in the upper right like this, and let's see, model planes. So I'm going to type that in and search it, and lo and behold, you're going to get people building model planes of all kinds. You can see from every genre, black and white to color. So it's been going on a long time, but all this information is there. And what you can do is when you decide what you want to see, you click on the picture and it blows it up huge so you can see what you're dealing with. Now, if it's on this website, Wikimedia Commons, you're able to download this now, which means basically if you right click and save it, you can do it just like this and save it to your website. I mean, save it to your hard drive. But they actually, anyway, there are various information about it and so forth, but you can just grab that image right there and use it any way you want. So without going into the categories and stuff, this is just one way to search for some links, but it is not by any means the only way to do it. I'm going to show you in a minute how to search Google for links in general. But before we go on, anyway, that's one of my favorite links for free images. And by the way, after the event, I will post a couple of resources where you can look at, I don't know, 50, 60, 70, or 80 different resources to get links to images that you can use without paying anybody. And free to use. You don't have to worry about lawsuits. And then even if I say that, there are places where they give away free ones and they require other things like attribution and credit and so forth. So you have to watch what you're dealing with per image and make sure that you're giving the right credit in the right places, or that you don't have to. So that's one thing that it's up to you. So user beware.
So Roland, what you're really trying to say is make sure that you read the fine print before you use any image to make sure that you're not, hurting yourself in any way.
Absolutely.
Where someone could come back and go after you.
Absolutely. I mean, the main thing is that you don't use things that you thought were it's going to be to your benefit and then screw yourself because you find out later on that, gee, I was suckered into this and actually I couldn't use that image. I could use the one next to it, but I couldn't use the one I used. And that's what usually happens. You search in response to what you think is the usable image, the license to reuse. And you get there and find an image next to it that you like even more. You click on that and look at it, fall in love, and then you use it and you find out you're in trouble. So when you search online, you have to know what you're searching and you got to stick to your parameters. So before we go on to the general Google search, I wanted to cover the concept of animated GIFs, which is another image, and it's in between movies and still images. It's actually a little bit of action going on, and there are ways. So basically, if you just Google animated GIFs, click the button, you're going to get these opportunities that pop up. One of them is like, let's see, let me just quote you a couple. Giphy.com, which is GIPHY.com, or gifs.net, and just all kinds of them. And basically, all there are is opportunities for you to use their facility, mostly free, and some of them have an upgraded version if you have a really complicated animated GIF. But basically to submit your images to them, and right online right now, they will process it and make you an animated GIF that you can use on your website and so forth. It's because you're uploading your own images and then they're processing it for you and turning it into an animation that you can use. So you can actually upload your images.
Is that free, Roland, or do you have to pay for that?
Yeah, there are some free services and some paid services. So you just, like everything else, you have to watch what you're subscribing to.
I actually use Giphy a lot. I actually did a study when I first started doing social media marketing, and this is, I guess, for websites too, but my found was people tend to react more to an animated GIF than they do versus a still image, and I think it has to do with the fact that you have some movement going on. So I just wanted to share those results for people that, although, I mean, still images are, there's still a spot for them. I mean, we need still images, obviously, but if you're trying to engage, like maybe on a poll, or you're trying to get somebody to sign up for something, try using an animated GIF. I've just found that it has given me a lot of really great results.
Cool. So I'm going to give people a brief idea of what it takes to assemble an animated GIF, because an animated GIF could be as little as 2 or 3 images, but of course I don't recommend 2 or 3 images because it's not going to be much of an animation. After all, a moving picture is 30 frames a second or better, and so to look like a real movie, it's going to be 30 frames. If you can imagine doing 30 frames just in a second, and running those through to try to get everything to look like movement. But for my purposes and for what I'm going to show you today, I took the Smarties concept and the show that we have, and I thought I'd assemble an animated GIF to show you what it would be like. So I've got about 30 or 40 images, and as I click the button, every split second or so. I'll show you. You'll be able to see what all of the frames look like, and that'll be um, an indication of just how many images that I had to produce to make my animation. Okay, so the first one I click, you can see, oh, Smarties is starting to enter. So now I'm going to go a little bit faster. Every time it moves, I had to make another frame. So as you can see, it's getting more and more complete to the point where now that we've got the complete image, that's what the animation is going to be based on. So now I'm going to quit sharing that, and I'm going to share the actual animation itself. If I can find it on my computer. Okay, here it is. So let me share this with you, and now you'll be able to see. As you can see, it's only about 400 pixels wide or something like that, and it's not a very good reproduction to show you that. But basically now you can see the animation and how much different this would be than just a still image of what we're doing. The movement is going to catch people's eye, and they're going to say, what the heck is Marketing Smarties? Who are these people? And what is this idea of the Smarties gather here? Where do they gather? So now you've got movement drawing attention to what the gift message is, and it's much more impactful and effective than just having an image there. So that gives you an idea for animated GIFs. And you can do animated GIFs with virtually anything. They can be matching pictures, or they could be totally different. And you can do movement like what we were saying. You move the imagery gradually onto the screen, and it'll look like it's sliding in from the side or whatever. So this is all done with very little movie experience. Is unnecessary whatsoever. All you have to do is be pretty good at a little bit of Photoshop or Canva or some program like that, and be able to move these layers of images around, and you can get movement out of that. So we're not going to go into that excessively today, but I wanted to introduce you to the ideas that will make your website enhanced a little bit and make it more fun.
I would actually add to that, Ron. I have a hangout coming up soon, and I thought, what if I used an animated GIF for my banner, for my hangout? Because I had never thought to do so. And I went in and I experimented, and it did take a little work. I mean, it wasn't like just going in and popping it in and uploading it to your hangout, but I was actually able to figure out how to have an animated GIF as a header for Hangouts. I know there's some of our audience members today, they host Hangouts. I just want to let them know that you can actually use, in addition to your website and social media, you can actually use animated GIFs if you're hosting a Hangout within your header.
Yeah, okay, that's good stuff. We've hit a lot of just a shotgun approach to images today. The last thing I want to do, because everyone hears about searching Google for images, and if you're going to do that, you can do that, and you can actually be pretty effective finding images that you could use in your website, manipulate with, and absolutely get a Creative Commons screening so that you can use those images. And I want to show you how to do that right now. So I'm going to share my screen and show you a Google search. So first of all, you can basically go to images at the top right here and just click on images, or just click on images when the opportunity comes up after you've done your search. But let's do the same thing, model airplanes. I think I did model planes before. We'll do that again. So if we type that in and go to Google, we get a whole slew of images of model planes, tons and tons of them, and they're really close-ups and features. People probably manufactured a lot of these for commercial purposes. So here's the problem. If you just grab one of these images, chances are about 10 to 1 that they are going to be actually legal to use. So how do you find ones that are legal? So now, first of all, take a look at the quality of the pictures and so forth. And there are a lot of great ones there and options, and you've got tons and tons of them. You can refine your search and get a certain kind of plane or a certain type of image or whatever you want. But here's what you want to do to check the usage rights. You hover over the search tools icon at the top of the search, and if you click on that, a whole new lineup of options comes up, and just to the second from the right here, usage rights is where you want to go. And if you click that and go to the down drop, you slide down to a term that's called labeled for reuse. Labeled for reuse. Now, when these pop up, and I'm going to click on that now, when these pop up, these you can use. Now, there's only one thing to be aware of when you're looking at these planes. You notice that they're not quite as big a collection of commercial images, but there are a lot of planes here, a lot of models, and so forth. So when you're looking at these, let's say you find one that you want to use, and you click on it right there, and then it pops up with a viewing of what this model plane looks like. And then it also has 7 or so other images that they say, maybe you like this one too. And you click on that, and you click on that, and you got these other opportunities. The problem is not all of these qualify as licensed for reuse. There are more images like the image that you found, but there's only one that you can guarantee is licensed for reuse, and that is the first one you search right off the search page. So if you do this and you see another image that you want to go to, make sure that you do the research to make sure that it is also licensed for reuse, because this page won't prove that if you're searching.
So Roland, could you also show them? You can also search by color too, so you can do multiple filters. So not just for reuse, but you can also search for color.
Yeah.
Or just to show the folks.
Yeah, let's go with red planes, red model airplanes.
So color. Go back to the tabs down there. So size, color, type.
Oh yeah, let me see.
So you could pick through that. You can also pick black and white photos specifically if you want just black and white.
So all I did was click on the red color, and now that you can see red is predominantly in every single photo. So that's one of the screening devices to narrow down your search. And you've got the size drop down, and I don't know whether it probably means the size of the image, not the size of the oops. Excuse me. So that they've got a type drop down. Is it a face? Is it photo? Is it clip art? Is it line drawing? And is it animated? So there's options there.
I use that one all the time. I'm all the time searching for animated GIFs, and I use this tool all the time.
Cool. So that kind of confirms that it is a useful tool, and that a lot of people don't know about this drop down, and don't even know that there's a search tool that allows for more refined searches. And right now we've focused on the concept of labeled for reuse or not filtered. There are some other things labeled for non-commercial use, labeled for non-commercial use with modification, so forth. You just want to focus on labeled for reuse, and that's going to clarify that so you get the stuff that is available to you and usable, and you don't have to pay for it. So that's basically what I started this entire show today to get you to this point right here so you can search on Google for images. But there are a lot of places, I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. There are a lot of places where you can get images, and I'll post some links in the comment stream. I've been so busy here that I really haven't been thinking about the commenters, but we've been joined by Ana Fernandez. Thank you for showing up. And there are still the usual suspects that we've named are here playing with us. So thank you very much for coming over. And I'm sorry about the confusion. I don't know what the issue was with Google Hangouts. But Karen, didn't you have some good news regarding Google Hangouts? And then we got another thing from Molly after that.
Actually, I was going to talk about another image site that is more, I think, in line, because we could talk about the Google stuff all day, every day. so
That's
true. Let me share my screen, and just a second. Okay, share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to show this to you guys because I know there's a lot of images that you see online from a lot of really popular sites and blogs, and you're wondering, do they have a staff photographer? Do they have like big budget in their advertising? And what it really comes down to is I believe that we're really using this particular site, and it's a free site for anyone who wants high resolution photos, and it's called Unsplash.com, and you get, if you sign up and it's for free, you get 10 new photos every 10 days, and so you just have to hit the subscribe button and subscribe. But the photos, just let me show you how great they are. You don't really have to touch them up. Just hold 1 second. I'm coughing. Just 1 second.
Me too. I'm over here coughing too, Karen. I'm trying to get rid of this cold. But one other thing I'd quickly share while you're gathering your thoughts is, making sure, when you use images, you can actually optimize images for search. There's something known as Twitter cards and graph tags that you can actually take those images from your server, from your web host, and optimize them for search. So I just wanted to go above and beyond the image itself, that you can actually optimize the image itself. And if you are using images on your website, make sure and fill out your alt tag. It's super important for search because of the fact that a search engine can't see a picture. So you have to tell the search engine, hey, I'm a picture, and we do this by filling out the alt tag.
Yeah. So I'm back. So a lot of these images, I think, are definitely for businesses to definitely use them. They're great for presentations. They're very, they're aspirational, motivational. You can use these to your heart's desire. I mean, I think if you kind of go through them, you'll probably recognize a lot of these photos from, if you are active on social media, you'll see a lot of these photos where, as Molly mentioned before, you can layer and you can add text to them. I mean, you would have to go to like a Canva or a Photoshop to add that. But these photos are basically free. You don't have to mention the artists. You don't have to mention Unsplash at all. And if you want to know more about what does Creative Commons Zero, or basically, public domain free photos, this is pretty much a description. If you want to go to the Creative Commons site itself to get to the bottom line of what that actually public domain dedication, what does it actually mean, you can read more about it here. So here's more of an opportunity to learn more about what can be used publicly and without any limitations. And then just to do a really quick to show you how to actually use this, if you're looking for, I'm going to just put down the Golden Gate Bridge because it's one of those icons that everyone knows and recognizes when you see it. Out here in San Francisco, here are all these wonderful photos that photographers have actually taken that you could actually use for your site. In all different ways, black and white, they're color, some of them have heavy filters on them, and you also have links to the actual photographer, and you could see more of that individual's photos. If you like their style, you can kind of collect on these and then again use them for your site. So if you're looking for a particular style for your site and you find a photographer that you like and that you can work with those photos, I mean, here's a really great opportunity, more so I think than even using Google Images, because these have been already cleaned up for you and you really don't have to do much work with these photos.
Cool. Molly, you want to wrap us up?
Yep, one last comment. And this is something for marketers in general, business owners. It's a really great tip. Google's come out with something called the Marketer's Almanac. What it is, it's a collection of different events that happen every year. So we all know the Super Bowl is tomorrow, right? So why not go find images of the Super Bowl and use those images within your marketing? Same can be done for Valentine's Day, holidays, different type of events that are happening throughout the year. Go find images relevant to those events and use them within your marketing campaign.
That's a great idea, Molly, because especially if you're doing things weekly, which you should be with your website, if you stick with the campaign that's going on at the time, it draws people attention. They're already thinking in terms of Valentine's Day or the Super Bowl or whatever. So it's at the top of mind. So if you tap into that and say, yeah, by the way, because of the Super Bowl, blah blah blah, it almost doesn't matter what you're going to say after the Super Bowl. People are at least going to look, right? So that's called smart marketing.
Well, it
Yep.
goes back to what we said last week, Roland. It's trend jacking, right? I mean, you're
Yeah,
basically catching the wave on the trend, and if you can tie yourself to the Super Bowl and get people's attention by that, again, you're showing that you are part of the community and you're being, relevant and getting into what people are interested in.
exactly. So anyway, everything that we were doing today was to emphasize that images cannot be ignored. There are a lot of ways to use images. We could probably go on and talk about the specifics and dig in deeper and deeper. But the main thing is now you have a little bit better idea, hopefully, of the fact that there are images available in Wikimedia and these various sources and the New York Public Library and stuff like that. And I'll have some other links where you can find some more modern, current images, and I'll post those in the comment stream if you want to hang out and check them out. You have better terminology to know whether you're using an image that is qualified for reuse or not, and we encourage you to go even as far as animated GIFs. You can learn this stuff almost with zero investment other than your time and diligence and need to know, want to know, and just do the work. So I guess we're going to wrap this up for today, and I want to apologize again for people that had to jog from the old page to the new page, and there's something that I really need to do before we close. So that is this. Comment tracker today, for the first time in almost a month, worked. And although we can't address this today, I think that we'll pick up the subject just briefly on the next show, because it's one of the things that I thought about. Susan Joy Schlief says, what about the new website trends of putting real large photos in the background, like the parallax effect? Those must be big files, I'm guessing. So, do they load slowly?
I
And
have I can actually answer that very quickly. So Parallax is a different language, programming language, and essentially it uses the technology of like the 1980s arcade games where it has that kind of dimension and depth. So those background images don't necessarily create a slow load time because even though they are in depth and they have some type of effect on it, we do optimize those for the load time of a website. So they are larger images, but we still use either a GIF or PNG format, which crushes the file size, which means it'll load faster.
okay, so there are many things involved when we consider whether an image should be used in your background. And there's something beyond that and below in the foundation is whether you should use an image really depends upon what you're trying to do with the effect of the user experience and the impression that you want to make. Because it may not be a very good idea, even if you can do it, you may not want to. So that gets back into the theory of how you're designing your website, and that's really important. Anna asks about me posting some links, so I will do that, and that'll be coming in just a few minutes. So thank you very much for mentioning that. And if you have any questions, if you happen to watch the replay or find something in the midst of that, and you didn't get a clear answer to what you want, what becomes on top of your mind, then just contact one of us. We'll be glad to respond. In the meantime, I hope that we've generated the idea that images are extremely important. If you're going to do a blog post, if you're going to make a web page, if you're going to do an advertisement, whatever it is, at least use an image. And maybe next year or later on this year we'll convince you that video is the way to go. So thank you very much. We're going to sign off for now. Thank you very much to the people that joined us from the other page or if it came on today. And your comments are appreciated. I'll be responding to everyone in just a little while. Thank you very much. Signing off for Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. Good day, everybody.